to let go of the pain. And the flesh does not like to do that. The flesh likes to hold on. The flesh likes to remind them. The flesh likes to tell them some stuff. Remember when you said this, I had an opportunity, something came across me, opportunity came across this past week. And every part of me wanted to remind them of what they said. I wanted to remind them of what they said, but I could not remind them. That would have been too petty. That would have been too negative, would have been too nasty. But there was a part of me that wanted to remind them. Remember when you said this? Remember when you said you was going to do this and you wasn't never going to do that? And then now look at you. But we can't do that. Why? Because that's not the standard that Christ has established for us. That's not the tone. That's not the level that God wants us to come up to. And so my flesh may want to do one thing, but my spirit has to go in another direction. I'm not allowed to say that. I'm not allowed to do that. Why? Because I don't belong to myself, I belong to him. And if I hold you accountable, then guess what? God now is going to hold me accountable. So if I want to have forgiveness, then I must forgive.
Amen.
Okay. So he says here, in verse number 10, verse number 20, I'm going to start at 25 and then read 26. He says, not forsaking or neglecting, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for our sins, but a certain fearful looking for judgment, and the fiery indignation which shall devour the adversary. Listen what he says. I'm going to read verse number 26. He says, for if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. Now I just got through talking to you about what Christ endured for me. He didn't do it for himself. He did it for Corey. He did it for Corey. And it was not when I loved him. It was not when I was thinking about him. It was when I was in my sin. It was when I was doing my worst that he loved me the most. That's very important. It was when I was doing the worst he loved me the most. Because he could have gave up on me. He could have left me out there in the street. He could have left me where I was, but he did not give up on me. It was not the first time that he called me that I surrendered. It was not the first time that he touched me that I gave everything up to him. But he was patient enough to walk with me. He was patient enough to work with me. When men would have gave up on me and said he ain't going to change, he ain't going to do no better, he going to always be out there, he going to always do. When men would have gave up, Jesus kept fighting for me. When men would have turned their back and counted me lost, Jesus kept fighting for me. And so the powerful thing about that is that it was not in my best that he did this. And see, it's easy to reward somebody when they're doing well. Let me say it like that. Amen. It's easy to reward a child when they got straight A's. It's easy to reward somebody when they're doing everything that you want them to do. But that's not the way Jesus did you and me. He rewarded us when we were at our worst.
Yes.
Wow. He rewarded us when we were doing our absolute worst. And he believed that by rewarding us and by sacrificing for us, eventually his love would prevail in our lives. Think about that. He made himself completely vulnerable and said, I'm going to love you and I'm going to keep loving you, believing that one day my love will penetrate your rebellious heart. The Bible says, with his loving kindness have he drawn us. He says, I'm going to love you and I'm going to believe that eventually my love will pull you in. And so it was love that drew us. It was love that brought us near. It was love. It was when I realized that he was still loving me in my sin. It was when I realized that he was still loving me in my brokenness. It was when I realized that he was still loving me while I was stumbling. What greater love is that? How could you refuse that type of love? When somebody see you at your worst, when somebody see you at your absolute worst and still love you and treat you and lavish on you, then how can you reject that type of love? Who don't want that type of love? The type of love that sees me at my worst and yet keeps loving me, that's the type of love
Yes.
That's the type of love you run to. And so it was at that type of love that we have run to Christ. And this is what the Bible says. He says, now that you see what I've gone through on your behalf, now that you see that what I've gone through to deliver you and to save you and to set you free, he said, now if you look at this and come into the knowledge of this and trample this under your feet and act like you don't know, he says, there is no other sacrifice for you. Amen. This is what it says now. He says, after you understand what I've gone through to save you, and you have come into the knowledge of what I endured for you, and how I forgave you even in the midst of your sin, how I love you even in the midst of your sin, when you understand that, and then you still turn away and keep on sinning, and keep on living your life the way you want to live it, when you have come into the light of what I have endured for you, and reject that light, he says to you, he says to me, he says, Corey, there is no other sacrifice. Ain't nobody else coming to save you. Ain't nobody else coming to deliver you. Yeah. Ain't nobody else going to do for you what I've done. Amen. Matter of fact, can't nobody do for you what I've done. And so the only thing left for you is judgment. The only thing left for you is to pay your own price. Because I tried to pay it for you. But you were too prideful, too arrogant to let me pay it. You was too prideful, too arrogant, too rebellious to accept me as your Lord and Savior. You didn't want to serve me. You didn't want to follow me. So you're going to have to you're going to have to do it for yourself. And so the only thing left for you is assertive judgment and indignation because you have rejected what I came to give you. Right. So he says, don't take lightly the breaking of my body. Same way that bread is ripped, my body was ripped, my body was torn. My body went through great affliction for you. And so don't you take for granted what I endured to save you. You are not easy to save. You are not easy to save. I had to go through a whole lot of stuff to save you. You're not easy to bring out of that darkness. I had to go through a whole lot of stuff to bring you out. So don't you take for granted what I have done for you. Then he goes on to say, go back to 1 Corinthians 11 chapter. We're still looking at our communion. Verse number 25, after the same manner, also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as often as ye drink it in remembrance of me. He says this cup, this New Testament, this cup that he was holding, he says this represents the New Testament, the new covenant. Testament is just another word for covenant, another word for contract. There's a new contract that Jesus came to bring into the earth. He says this cup is the new covenant. It's the new contract. What contract? It's the new agreement between God and man. That's what he was saying, that there's a New Testament now that was going to be established between God and man. He says that this covenant, this testament is established by the blood of my son Jesus. Jesus established this new covenant. He ratified this new covenant. He set it in motion. There's a new covenant now. It is a covenant of peace. It is a covenant of grace. It is a covenant of love. You see, the old covenant, listen to this, the old covenant was based upon my works. The old covenant was based upon me working good enough to please God. The old covenant was based upon me serving God and pleasing God through my service. Well, the problem with that was that I could never do good enough. I could never work hard enough. I could never serve long enough. I could never give enough. I could never praise enough. I could never pray enough because I was a man born in sin, shapen into iniquity. And so there was nothing I could do to earn the love of God. There was nothing that I could do to earn the peace of God. There was nothing I could do to earn. And let me throw this in there. Those of you who are dealing with relationships, love, listen to this. Love is not something that you earn. Love is not something that you earn. Love is something that is given or committed to you. Let me give you an example. When a woman has a child, she has a baby, what did that baby do to earn that love? Nothing. Nothing. She loves that baby. Why? Because that baby is her baby. Because of who the baby is. Her love is given to that child. It's not earned, it's given. The problem with trying to earn love is that when you have to work for the love, what happens when you're not able to work no more? Or what happens when you're not able to do what you used to do to earn the love? If your love is based on my performance, what happens when I'm not able to perform anymore? That's why you don't get into things or relationships where you have to earn love, where you have to earn friends. Because if you have to jump through the hoop to get somebody to be your friend, if you have to chase after somebody to get them to call you or go to dinner with, if you got to chase after somebody for them to spend time with you, then that relationship is going to always be like that. And if you ever stop jumping through the hoop, they're going to stop coming around, they're going to stop calling, they're going to stop getting, they're going to stop doing everything they was doing, because the relationship is based on you serving me. And if you ever stop serving me, then I'm going to stop giving you my time, my attention, my emotions, my help. I'm going to cut everything off because it's based on you serving me. That's what you call that FP&L love. Yeah. You can have the light as long as you pay the bill. You stop paying the bill, we cut the lights off. Yeah. Yes. I'll be your friend as long as you serve me. You stop serving me, I don't want to deal with you no more. You was never really my friend. Love is something that you give. Yeah. Love is something that you give. You give. I commit my love to you. When I'm mad with you, yeah. When I'm happy with you, yeah. When I'm frustrated, yeah. When I'm upset, whatever emotions I go through, I still come home at night. Because love is it is a committed thing that you give. That's very important. Jesus set the example for that. He says, I'm married to the backslider. I don't just love you because you come to church every Sunday. He said, even when you don't come to church, I still love you. Yeah. I don't just love you when you pray. He said, when you're not praying, I still love you. Yeah. I don't just love you when you're giving. He says, when you're not giving, I'm committed to you. Yeah. I'm married to you. I'm not going anywhere. I never walk away from you. I never leave you nor forsake you. That's what love is. He sets the example for love. He sets the example. He sets the tone for what love is. That's why his love is so powerful. And that's why his sacrifice is so powerful. Because he sets a tone that's very hard to follow. Can't nobody follow that. Can't nobody do for you what he did. So don't take what he did and count it as nothing. Don't come into the knowledge of Christ and then keep on doing what you was doing. Don't come into the knowledge of Christ and then turn your back and go back to the world. The Bible says a sinner is like a dog that returns to his own vomit. See how you said, yup? See how you said, it's nasty. Yeah. That's what God says a sinner is. God says when you come into the light and I reveal myself to you and I reveal my truth to you and you come in to an understanding and see that my body was broken for you and the great sacrifice that I endured for you to get you free, and then you turn your back on me after service on Sunday and then go right back to the world, go right back to sin, go right back to this, go right back to that. He said that's just like a dog returning to his vomit. That's nasty. It's gross. How in the world you going to clean yourself up and come to me and understand who I am and what I've done for you and the love and the sacrifices that I've given you, and then when you leave Sunday leave church, Monday you don't read your Bible, Tuesday you don't read your Bible, Wednesday you don't have time to pray, you go back to the club, you go back to this, you go back to the drinks, you go back to the smoke, you go back to the world. He said that's just like a nasty dog returning to his vomit. He says I can't deal with that kind of stuff. I need somebody who's committed for real. Amen. Amen. Yeah. Say, don't take what I've done for you and count it, trample it under your feet like it's nothing. Don't trample it under your feet like it's nothing. I went through some stuff to give you that redemption. I paid for that with my life, so don't take my redemption and understand my redemption and embrace my redemption, but then leave it here and go and do what you want to do, thinking that I can always come back. No, he says that's not the way you do it. There is judgment coming for you when you lay down that truth and go back to the world. Very important. He says here, dealing with the cup, once again, go back to the cup. He says this cup is the new covenant. The new covenant or the New Testament. This New Testament, the First Testament was about works. I had to earn my place with God. I had to earn my position with God. But in this new covenant, my position was earned by Christ. Christ earned my position. Let me take you somewhere. Let's go to 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. Go to 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter. This new covenant is not about what I can do, but it's about what he has done for me. Not about what I can do, but it's about what he has done for me. Y'all got that? 2 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verse number 20. Go down to verse number 21. Listen what the Bible says. It says, for he has made him, talking about Jesus, to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. So he has, Christ here, become sin. Christ who was without sin, who was without spot or wrinkle. Christ who was perfect, who was complete, who was holy. The Bible says that he made Christ to become sin. He said he made him to become sin. Why? So that I could be made righteous. He made him become sin so that I could become righteous. Listen to this, I want you to understand it from this standpoint. He transferred what Christ had in his account into my account. I talked about this a little bit in Sunday school. When you deal with the things of God, you have to understand it from a biblical standpoint. In my account, I was broke. I didn't have anything in my account. I was empty in my account. I was bankrupt in my account. I had nothing to give, nothing to offer. That's very important that you understand that. I don't care how nice your car is. I don't care how nice your house is. I don't care what title you have, earthly title you have. When it comes down to the things of God, you have nothing to offer God. There is nothing you have that God wants. Nothing. He is the creator. What can you give God? God is not impressed because you're smart. God is not impressed because you're pretty. God is not impressed because you can do this job or do that job. Matter of fact, anything good that you have came from God. So how you going to impress God with his own stuff? You can't impress God with nothing. Nothing that you have, you made. God made it all. Any good thing that you can do, God gave you the ability to do it. So there is nothing you can give God to impress him. The only thing that you have to offer unto God is worship. That's it. The only thing you have to offer unto God is worship, servitude. That's all you have to offer. Everything else belongs to him. Your body, he made that. The car, he gave you the ability to get it. The job, he gave you the ability. He opened that door. There is nothing you have that God did not give you. Therefore, there is nothing you have that you can offer him. Yeah. Except worship. That's it. That's it. Only thing you can offer him is service. That's it. Because you have a will. And in your will, you can determine to serve or reject. That's it. You have a will. And in your will, you can determine to worship or to reject. But that's all you have. That's the only question. That's the only option you have. I'm going to serve him. I'm not going to serve him. That's the only thing you can offer him is your worship, my praise, my life. I'm going to serve you because of what you've done for me. And so you can't bargain with God because everything came from him. You can't impress God because anything you got, it came from him. He gave you everything that you got. Anything good, the Bible says, came from the Lord. So you can't impress God with nothing. We need God. We worship God because we understand he is God. We worship God because we understand that he is holy. We worship God because it is an act of our will. I realize he loved me. I realize he died for me. I realize what he did for me. And because of that, I willingly worship. Now that's coming a time when everybody, the Bible says, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. But we don't want to be one of the ones that's forced to bow and forced to confess. We want to do it willingly because we have come into the knowledge that what he did it for us.
Amen.
Anybody with any sense, when somebody bless you with or do something nice for you, if you got any training, home training, you say thank you. Amen. Somebody go out of their way to do something for you, open the door for you. If you got home training, you say thank you. Yes. Now multiply that by billions. When you look at what God has done for you, the very least you can do is give him your life and serve him. The Bible says it's a reasonable. It's a reasonable thing. It's not a big request. It's a reasonable thing to ask you to worship him. All right. Where I told you go. 2 Corinthians 5th chapter, verse number 21. Let me read that again. He says, for he has made him to be sin for us who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. I want you to understand this from this standpoint. My bank